All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and call to order the Historic Preservation Board meeting of January 8th, 2026. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's call to order the Historic Preservation Board meeting for January 8th, 2026. It is 4 p.m. and we will begin by our invocation by Chaplain Mulberry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America, led by Board Member Mary Jane Rosa. Please stand.
Good evening, everyone. Father, we give you thanks and praise again for this day. We thank you for how good you've been. We thank you for bringing us to a new year. God, we thank you. Many challenges you brought us through, and we look to you again to take us further. We pray, God, that you will bless this historic board as they continue to do the business of the city. God, we pray that you will give wisdom to those councilmen that they and women that they may seek you, God, for directions in all their decisions. We thank you again for what you're doing, God. Even now, we pray, Lord, for our city, that you will help us to be mindful of our civility as an adult. We might guide our young people in such a way, God, that will turn them to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Chaplain Mulberry. May we move on to the roll call, please, Mr. Romero, sir?
Absolutely. Elizabeth Van Rensburg,
Here.
Brianna Pierce,
Here.
Megan Bevel,
Here.
Patty Bowe,
Present.
Tim Jefferson, absent for the record. Christopher Hollister, absent for the record. Mary Jane Rosa,
Present.
we have quorum.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our meeting purpose disclosure. The purpose of the Historical Preservation Board is to steward the architecture of properties in our city's historic districts by applying the guidelines of the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. Moving then on to the appeals procedure and ex parte communications. Let's begin with the appeals procedure. Any person wishing to appeal any decision made by the Historic Preservation Board with respect to any matter considered at such meeting will need a record of the proceedings, and for such purpose may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made at the applicant's expense, which records. I love this. It doesn't, that sentence has just never made sense, which record includes the testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based, which is indeed Florida Statute 286.105. Moving on to ex parte communications. Anything that we wish to share, ladies? All right, then we'll move on to item 2 of our agenda. And by the way, just for the record, we have a time constraint this afternoon. We need to be wrapped up and out of here so the city commission can follow us. Approval of minutes for the December 4th, 2025 minutes. Were there any corrections that were not given prior? If not, I'm looking for a motion to a move.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce.
I'll
A
second it.
Thank you, Ms. Vogt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Excellent. The minutes of our December 4th, 2025 meeting are approved. Let's go ahead and open up to public comments. Well, we don't see any, but we do see some cute faces in the audience. So let's go ahead and close public comments. And we move on to item 4 on our agenda, which is new business. Item A, case HPB 2538, request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish a chimney. The address is 120 Kirkland Avenue in Palatka. The parcel ID number is long, ends in 41. The applicant is Warren Berry. And let's get started with Ms. Brown. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year on our first meeting this year. This is a request to obtain a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of an exterior chimney on the single-family home of the property. The parcel is located at 120 Kirkland Street in the South Historic District. The applicant is the owner, Mr. Warren Berry. Photographs illustrate where the chimney is located and the condition that it is in. It cannot be determined if the chimney is original or was added at a later date. The Florida Master Site File says a frame vernacular residence constructed between 1892 and 1897. Style influences are Victorian, with steep gables and irregular plan. Also, the house is well massed and sited to contribute to the historic district. The entire Florida Master Site File is included in your agenda packet. That is all of my presentation. If you had any questions for me, and the applicant is also here if you would like to hear from him.
Thank you. Ladies, do we have questions for city staff at this point? If not, let's meet Mr. Berry. If you could please come forward and give us your name and city of residence for the record.
Okay. Hi, I'm Warren Berry. I'm the owner at 120 Kirkland Street. Currently, I'm living at 5418 Shore Drive in St. Augustine while I'm doing the renovation over there. So I've been approved once for the whole exterior, and then I realized I need to add this to it. So currently the chimney's like not attached to the house. The siding all runs behind it, so you can tell it wasn't original. It's not how they used to build them back then. And also I met Mr. Larry Beaton at the first approval meeting, who was kind of giving me the whole history of the actual house. It was built in 1894 as a duplex. So it had two chimney chases originally that were terracotta on the roof, not the brick one on the side. So I don't have like the year the brick one was put on. I know they did a remodel in the 60s and I believe in the 90s also. But it's not attached in any way. There's no chimney and no fireplace inside. There's no venting to the inside. It was just all, frame with a chimney. I mean, the siding, the chimney's kind of floating there, as you see in the picture where there's that gap running all the way up. So yeah, I would like to remove this thing before it becomes like more of a safety issue and comes down. I don't want to rebuild something on the outside of all that siding. So that's what I'm looking for, is permission to remove that and then fix all the wood rot that's behind it and finish the exterior up, since I'm kind of midway through it there. I don't know if you guys have been by there yet, but it's coming along. It's been a slow battle, but it's getting there. The inside's looking good too, so.
Well, let me be the first one to welcome you to the city of Palatka.
Thank you.
I personally, and I think Ms. Biville can also agree, that anybody that moves over from St. Augustine probably should be trusted. Ladies, do we have questions initially for Mr. Berry, or should we go ahead and open up to public comment?
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Viv.
Okay. You said, if I understood you correctly, that there's no fireplace inside, or never was?
No,
Was the property gutted, like it was all the way down where there's no drywall or plaster where you could see that?
no, when I bought it, they had a little gas fireplace in the corner of the living room on the opposite side of the house. So on the left side is the chase. The right hand middle had this little gas fireplace. No chase or anything. It was just burning into the air. We took all the drywall off the walls in there, and there was nothing where the chase is at all. There's no penetration. I have a picture of it actually.
Yes, so there's no evidence that there was a fireplace in the property at all?
Not anything you could tell from, and you can tell the old work there from the 1890s, from the stuff that was done in the 60s and 90s, because it was done at a much better quality. Like, that stuff was built a lot better back then. They wouldn't have built that chase along the outside of the siding tucked between. It would have been done with the
You have no
siding to it.
plans of putting in a chimney or any kind of fireplace or nothing? No interest in that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, just want to add something to notice. I'm looking at the survey of the house. I don't know what the date of the survey is, but clearly in the survey, it doesn't show the chimney being on the side of the house. If it was, it would have shown in the survey.
Right.
So that's what we have here. You just added that, to.
How old is that survey? I didn't.
Is in your package,
Okay.
Are you
It's almost
referring
a-
to the master,
almost the last take.
Oh, here.
the original master site file, or the revised master site file, or the survey at the back of the
No,
packet.
I'm talking about the survey itself.
Certainly, just
Right,
point of
right. If you can
clarification.
see, if you see that, that was just drawing.
Yeah, I drew that on here.
So,
Show you what
clearly,
we did.
the chimney was not there. I don't know the date of this survey though.
One of the
be
things
sure.
that struck me, and I'm expecting it also struck Ms. Vogt, was that if it was indeed on the first master site file, and then again on the revised, that would make that chimney, which it was, at least, and I mean, I gasped to say this, but the 80s about 45 years ago, which would almost make it historic in its own right.
Yeah, when I said the sixties, I was like, wow, it's 2026.
But you know what? If we don't have any other questions just currently for the homeowner, let's go ahead and open up to, I'm sorry, Miss Rosa. Are you certain?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to shut you down. I'll hear about it later. Okay, let's just go ahead and quickly open up to public comment. Seeing none. We move on. And yes, ma'am, please. Your thoughts are certainly relevant.
I just wanted to make a comment about if you look at the masonry, it's very clear that a professional mason did not make this chimney.
Yeah, there's no
Because-
brick ties,
Yeah,
which is something you would see.
yeah,
typically.
because a professional mason would never have done this. I mean, this
Okay.
is, can I use the word Mickey Mouse? Yes, this is a Mickey Mouse chimney.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd agree. Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Rosa. Other comments? Ms. Beville, of course.
So I have a chimney, my house is 1875 and it has a very similar exterior
Got me
chimney.
beat.
So, I'm not sure that we can say when it was built, but I think it's much older than this, even the sixties.
The chimney on your house, you believe?
No, the house,
Oh, the
on
house.
yours,
Yeah.
it's the similar construction, it goes through the roof line.
Mr. Beaton told me mine was built in 1894 as a duplex originally, and then at some point, like, we don't know all the dates of all the different remodels that have happened, but at some point they turned it to single family, and at some point they had a kitchen on the back of it, and there was a fire at some point also. We learned that also, opening up some drywall, so.
But it does look close to original, if not 100 years old.
Right.
Well, you've also enacted the Holy Grail, which is Larry Beaton.
He knew a lot of stuff. Impressive.
And still does. Matter of fact, if anyone has time to go and visit him, I know we'd appreciate that. What other questions do we have for Mr. Berry? Are we ready to move forward? Would we like to speak with city staff again? Where are we at, ladies? Wow, everybody jump in at once. I'm kind of with Ms. Beville in that it indeed, it looked to me like it was original to the structure. Again, I do feel that if it was included in the 1980s master site files, it is nearly historic, nearly antique, which is something that I hate to say about myself, but it is a fact. However, if there's nothing on the inside of the house that would warrant the fact that it was ever an acting fireplace, it kind of, along with Mr. Beaton's comments, backs up what you're saying. So ladies, does that move us forward at all? Ms. Biville,
A lot of times they were coal chimneys, so they would not have had a fireplace. It would have just had a flue. So,
Like a wood burning type fireplace.
well, back in the day,
Back
they
in
were
the day.
coal, but.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, because I've had those in my homes.
thank you, ma'am. All right, where are we at, ladies? Structurally, to me, it is, and I certainly cannot lend my motion, but I mean, I can always lend my opinion. I feel like looking at the property, it's having the fireplace there, to me, intrinsically makes a difference as to the historic nature of the property. It just, to me, whether or not it actually is, makes it look older and more apparently historic. However, that's, just an observation on my part. Come on, ladies, we don't need the guys here to move us forward. What are we thinking?
Thank
Other
you, Tom.
questions for the homeowner?
Ash-
Here.
Let me ask. Now, is where the chimney is located, is it a single, or is this a, two-story right here? Cause I did see that, it was 1.5 stories?
Yeah, the chimney runs all the way up, right there.
Okay, so in that top section, before it gets to the roof, is there a room there, or is
Yeah.
that? Now, was there any evidence there that there was a chimney or even a circle where there would have been a flute going into that?
No, I don't have anything there. And I got
Nothing.
pictures from when the drywall came down. There's nothing that you can see where it was ever active. That room up there was actually added at some point also, because it was just an attic space before. Since it was conventional framed, it was, you had a wide open attic without trusses. So at some point they built that in and the stairs that lead up to it. I don't believe that was original either,
Okay.
the upstairs portion of the house.
Okay.
Mr. Barry, you've mentioned photographs. May we have a,
Yeah, just a little more.
Yeah, sorry, I got. Mind if I walk it up to the shade?
Ms. West, how do you want to do this? Come on up.
After, that's that wall there, belongs in fireplace. So, it's looking into the added bathroom, that's the wall there,
So where's the chimney located on that wall?
right about there, you see where the new stud is in there? Sorry,
So where this,
yeah, right in this area right here. Those weren't, I didn't have those studs here, somebody put that in at some point, but.
and do you have any other photos, or is it just?
Yeah, I believe I got some upstairs also.
Thank you for assisting us with
No,
this,
no
by the
problem.
way. Our goal here is to do the right thing with historic properties, so the more knowledge, the better.
Yeah. It's kind of shows you the second story with that on, that's the stairs that were in there. We tore them all out, rebuilt them to code because they were
Mm-hmm.
not legal at the
Mhm.
moment, but. So I believe the whole upstairs was added after the fact, as you can see through that.
Okay.
Once we pulled the ceiling out, we saw that that wasn't,
Do you have any direct pictures of where, with the
Where-
gut wall with the fireplace?
yeah, that's the wall right there, that's the whole wall, there's no.
So the fireplace,
That's what I was trying to figure.
right, ladies? What do we think?
Well, I wonder what their heat source would have been.
These little gas heaters were around the house, when I bought it.
Yeah,
Back
but
in
like,
eighteen
Oh.
when it was
ninety-seven.
built, what
Yeah.
would have been their source of
Well,
heat, because.
from what Larry called, I left him a voicemail to see if he had any like pictures of this. There was 2 chases on the top that were terracotta that would be older style. I don't know if they maybe vented stuff up and out. I would think, like Ms. Bevel said there, that they would have a wood burning or coal burning one that would just go up and out. You wouldn't have a giant chase with it, so. Really not sure.
Microphone?
Sorry. I've done several houses, and the one I own now had terracotta chases, but they were wood burning originally.
Yes,
And I've done them back to just gas, so.
that's kind of what I understood from him, was the terracotta is the old look. The brick wasn't a thing they were doing at this point in time.
I mean, the terracotta was just on the top of the chimney.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's what he said. Said there was
Okay.
2 though, because it was a duplex. I guess each side had their own
Hmm.
heat source.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. My other question is there anything on this chimney that is deplorable? I mean, is it falling apart? Is it
yeah,
pretty sound?
it's no, there's a big gap where it's pulled from the house.
Well, just pulled from the house, but I'm talking about actually the chimney. I mean, if there was. I mean, and same thing Miss Elizabeth said, it would take away from the character of the house, because 90% of the old houses have chimneys. I mean,
Right.
but I mean, anything on the actual chimney, is it any is it sound? Is the chimney sound? Like, are there bricks falling off? Are there
There's some
chunks
chunks.
missing? Are there?
Some chunks missing. You can see where it's pulled back is the issue because there was no like brick ties, like an actual mason
Mhm.
built it. They would have a brick tie where it can't
Mhm.
pull away. It's just kind of floating that 25 feet plus there. Like, so that gap obviously wasn't always there. It was grouted up to the siding.
Mhm.
So that has grown. You know, how much and how soon I don't know. I've only had it.
It's also full of mortar, which I'm looking at, which is why I said, I don't think a professional mason would do that. I mean, it looks like a homeowner special to me. Yeah, and moving forward, the brick won't disintegrate, but the mortar will. So if you're having a problem with it coming away from the house, there's no way really to stop that, given that
Thank you,
it's
Mr.
built
Berry.
that way.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Rosa. All right, do we have some clarification moving forward, ladies?
The only thing that I have to offer is, for me, I've seen similar chimneys. There's one over here on Third Street that the chimney looks exactly the same and they're restoring the house. I understand that, you know, it could be an expense and so on and so forth, but this, for me, is a historic preservation board, which means to preserve the history of the house. And that doesn't just mean when it was built in 1897, it means all the years that it has been existing. And if you go back, let's say, like you said, 60, that's still 86 years ago, if that was done. And yeah, which is a long time. It's old. So for me, I'm having difficulty. I want to say, yes, do it for you. But for me, I'm having difficulty with the fact that I want to preserve as much of the historic things on the houses as possible. So anybody else can speak I'm not making a motion. I'm just
Do you
making
mind if I bring
how I
the
feel.
picture up that showed there? You mind if I bring that up to
Please.
where it's actually broken? I see. So it's completely.
If you don't mind, can you kind of walk around with that?
Yeah.
Thanks.
See breaking. So I assume maybe that breaking, maybe the weight's pushing down to the center, but. I'm not a mason, but I'm a general contractor, so.
Yeah, so
If you could, thank you. Just kind of continue
Yeah.
around so we can
It's
take a
old.
look.
Yeah,
it's old.
and just.
Yeah. Thank you for showing.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Uh,
All right, ladies, yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if I'm overstepping my bounds on the board, but there are braces that you can put around chimneys to the house to secure them. So that they're still visually viable.
You are not overstepping. You came to us as part of a longstanding restoration company. Your input is always valued. Thank you, Ms. Biville. Ladies, where are we heading with this? And I'm not pushing, but we do have a bit of a time constraint. Bear in mind, I don't make motions. Or,
Technically, you can pass the gavel in order to make the motion.
yes, ma'am, but I would rather I'm passing the gavel to co-chairman Ms. Pierce. I would like to make a motion to decline this COA.
Is there a second? Any further discussion?
Second.
All right, do we need to do a roll call or?
Call the roll.
All right. From the top, Elizabeth Van Rensburg,
Yes.
Brianna Pierce,
Yes.
Megan Bevan,
Yes.
Patty Vo,
Yes.
Mary Jane Rosa,
No.
pass 4-1.
All right. I'll pass back.
Thank you. Please be advised that you can appeal us. And city staff will give you all the information about how to do that. But also, just so you know, we don't like to say no, but our job is historic preservation. And we take it incredibly seriously because one of the things that happens is if we sway from our job and we make a recommendation for one homeowner, then the other homeowners pile up behind them and say, well, you let the Berries do it, why can't we? And we just have to be very, very cognizant of a slippery slope when it comes to our historic properties, but it is well within your rights to appeal us. And at this point, it sounds like a terrible thing to say, but truly, truly, truly from the entire board, welcome. I mean, we'd love to have you here.
Yes.
Looks like you're doing an amazing job. And if you're interested, we have a Christmas tour of homes. We'd love to have you involved.
Would it make any difference if I were able to get some pictures from there, with some information showing the two original terracottas and not that one there?
I don't believe, and this is a staff question, I believe that the procedure is to go to the city commission and argue that at that point, what we said was in error.
Okay.
All right.
Call the vote.
We always feel so bad doing that, don't we? We always do. Okay, moving on to other business. Of course, I believe that would bring back up our historic color palette. And Ms. West, did you wish to guide us on that?
Sure. So to move this along, because it keeps getting rolled over to next month, I took the liberty of drafting a proposed ordinance that basically would adopt the color palette that you finally decided on, which I believe was St. Augustine. So that would be essentially attached as an exhibit, but you need to make the actual selection from what was provided to you by Renee. Because I believe there were examples in the St. Augustine color palette that were not applicable to Palatka because they predate Palatka's existence. So it's on you to pick which color palette schemes you're actually going to use, so we can attach that to this proposed ordinance. And then also, I don't know if you had time to review the ordinance, but we can go through it a little bit now if you'd like, and if you have any questions or comments, we can proceed with those.
Personally, I think that whoever put the ordinance together did an amazing job.
Thank you.
To me, it covered all the, well, you're welcome. I thought it might be you. To me, it covered all the bases that needed to be covered. I believe that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but what the board said was quite simply, if there were dates that were in the St. Augustine color palette that predated homes that are in existence, obviously, we would not use those. The rest, we felt confident in adopting. Am I correct?
So what date are we going back to then? The establishment of the city of Palatka
I
or the
would-
first structure in Palatka? And what date would that be?
Well, we are at this stage, very little is pre-Civil War, correct?
From what I understand, there's only very few. I don't know if they're actually within our historical district that these pre-Civil War homes exist. But I would say at least the establishment of Palatka, which is 1854, 1853. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it is, but I would say from the establishment of Palatka moving forward.
Which actually makes a lot of sense, Miss Pierce, because what if someone moving forward was to do a bit of digging into a property and say, wait, this was a lot older than what we thought?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm rattling my brain trying to think if there's any that are, I mean, maybe one or two, maybe that haven't been torn down, unfortunately.
Okay, it's within the discretion of this board of when you want to establish that. It would make sense if it was tied to some rational.
To an actual date,
Yeah.
kind of. Well, I will make the motion that we establish it from the establishment of Palatka.
Okay,
And I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Pierce, seconded by Ms. Vogt. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
I'm sorry, is that from the corporation of the city?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date off my.
Come on, it was April 12th. And
I
not
mean, it was like just like yesterday. I mean,
1853.
1853.
That's pretty good, Brianna.
I was pulling from the archives.
That was
well,
great.
she is quite renowned in circles, historic. Okay, so does that change anything for anyone as far as our vote is concerned? Okay, if not, we did say at our last meeting that we wanted to speak to Ms. West regarding some code enforcement questions. However, it appears that the board member who wanted to specifically ask questions is not here with us today. And again, in order to move us down the line, I vote that if that board member would continue to have questions, Ms. West, of course, would be at our disposal and it could be timed out at a subsequent meeting. Does anyone have a problem with that? Not a problem, a challenge, an issue. Are we all okay with that? How about that?
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, I made a quick note and
We do have our code enforcement officer who's in charge of the historic districts here to answer any questions that you may have related to code enforcement. Mr. Bart sitting in the back there.
except I don't think anyone knows what the questions are that the other board members might have had.
I did have, I guess, a question, or I guess I need clarification. My only thing is, I understand that they have a certain amount of time with code enforcement to get these projects completed. Are they being followed up or?
Yes, ma'am. You're referring back to like a COA?
Yeah,
So-
for the ones that are
Yes, ma'am.
coming in because of issues.
Right. So what'll happen is if they have violations for doing something prior to a COA, they come in and get authorization for COA after the fact. We still, even though you guys give them the COA,
Mhm.
we still hold them to a timeline so they don't just draw it out. So example being, say if you have your siding is rotten wood from an AC unit dropping water down and it's all rotted,
Mhm.
you get a COA to replace that. And let's say at the same time you get a COA to do something else and something else, 3 different items. Well, we still check up on those items. Like we'll go back like once a month and say, oh, the wood's still rotten, it's still going away. So after a certain amount of time, we'll take them to a second hearing, reference those issues. Even though y'all issue a COA, that's on y'all, but they still didn't complete what the code enforcement asked them to do, which was fix the rotted wood that's on the house. Even though, yes, we understand the COAs doesn't have a expiration date, that doesn't give them the reason to drag it out as long as it can. We still have to go back, we do enforce them. And if that's the issue, if they had 5 different things they came to y'all for, but they only got like 2 of them done, we still take them to the magistrate hearing because those ones aren't done, and maybe light a little fire saying, hey, yeah, you do have a COA, but there is time constraints on getting the stuff fixed because it is still, it's still getting issues, it's still an eyesore and still needs to be corrected. So
So
yes.
they do have time frames.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
have to have them completed and they are being followed up to make sure those are being completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but those only what there is after the fact COA.
Okay,
It doesn't address the COAs that you approve.
okay, so.
That we don't have a follow-up.
And that one doesn't have, because I know there was at one time we had a resident come before us and they asked to do XYZ. And we said, okay, that sounds great, but could you have it done? I mean, don't extend it out. I mean, it wasn't something that had a time frame, but we didn't want it to linger on and have this bad taste form
Right.
in our historic district. But I don't know if they ever completed it. So those aren't being followed up if they're.
Now, if it is a code enforcement issue, yes, we will follow up,
If
you
there's a
know,
code
and then we'll
enforcement,
have to
if it's
comply
something
with.
that we're asking them to
But-
do,
So basically, is
it
there
kind of goes out.
check and
the
a
vote?
balance on COAs?
Yeah, we don't
No.
go and check, you know, all the COAs that we've been granted by this board or by staff to inspect, you know, and make sure that these have been completed.
Okay.
I'm not even sure that we have the authority to enforce that.
All right, well,
Well,
then that
if a
goes,
COA does not expire, then I can't see that there would be authority.
are there COAs that do have expiration dates, or are they just kind of,
Not to my knowledge.
No.
is there?
Once they pull a building permit, they have.
Well, yeah, a
time
building
frame.
permit, yeah, but something
Once they
like
go to
putting up
the
a fence
county,
is a
yeah.
building permit.
Yeah.
I mean,
But if not,
so I guess I go back to my question previously that I've had in other meetings. Is there a way we can ask them to come back and show progress reports?
Well,
Or no?
other cities, it just depends where you are, do have a expiration date on their COAs, like Jacksonville, I believe, is either 6 months or 1
Okay.
year. So that's something that you can consider doing, instead of having it just exist in perpetuity.
Would that fall into an ordinance again, like doing something
Oh,
like that?
yes.
So, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And once again, we have to deal with that it might become more restrictive on what we can do as opposed to less restrictive, but I don't think that should hold us back.
I don't think so either.
Well,
But
ladies,
like Miss Elizabeth said, I mean, I kind of like the check and balance. I mean, do we need,
Well,
I mean, what do we need to do to,
I think the same thing that we did with the historic paint palette.
The only thing that an expiration date would do is require the applicant to come back before you
Mhm.
again. You don't have a code enforcement mechanism associated with the COAs unless, of
Mhm.
course,
They have
they
Yeah.
directly violate the code.
But is that something we could ask? I mean, or at least have them just come back and present their completed project within X amount of months?
She's not
Or is-
talking about code enforcement.
I'm not,
It's
no, nothing.
strictly
Code enforcement,
COA.
COA before the
come in.
fact, they want to, I don't know, they want to paint their house. And we say, okay, yes, you can paint it from this color palette that we've now approved. But then it doesn't get painted for 4 years. So is there a way that we can say, hey,
Well, that would be when code enforcement would step back in
if the
and
paint
say,
is ugly?
Not if it's,
Probably not.
no.
well,
Nope.
if the paint was flaking, etc.
But if it's a house, okay, if it is the residents, they're bringing it before us, they want to paint their house, there's nothing wrong with the house, they just purchased it, they don't like it yellow, they want it green, whatever. That they come before us and they're like, we really want to paint it. Well, can we say, okay, well, you have 12 months to complete the project and then come back to us next year and just present your completion?
What about if they don't want to?
I
I
don't
mean,
think-
it could be that an applicant, get the COA, but then decides not to do it. Maybe they don't have the money to do it and they're just not going to do it. I don't know that we're in
They
the
can't find a
position.
contractor to do the work in the first place.
Yeah, but
Coming,
I'm not sure that we are in the position to impose or
But then
force them
it-
to
but
say you
then-
have to, because you got a COA, now you have to implement the COA.
Yeah, well,
But then in that case, if they don't do it in 12 months and then suddenly.
Then the COA
16
expires.
Yeah, okay, so then
Yeah.
we can expire the COA and
Oh,
if
yeah.
it- 16 months down the road.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to paint it green anymore, I want to paint it purple.
well, I think
Then they have
Not
to come
purple, They
back.
can't do purple, but,
They will have
they
to
would
put
have
a new
to-
application, yeah.
so I would like
Ex-
to have
I,
expired.
I would like to say something.
Go ahead, yeah, sure.
Ms. Vogt.
Go ahead, Ms. Pierce.
Ms. Pierce, Ms. Vogt. I think that painting it is not a good example. I think a good example would be they come before us and they want to put on a new porch
There you go.
or something that's structural that doesn't
So-
necessarily have a permit, but something like that. Painting, if you don't want to paint your house, you change your mind, big deal, to me, it's none of my business, but if it's structural,
Well,
I think it might be different.
I think we're getting into the nitty gritty here, and I'm not sure that we could get into the nitty gritty, so to speak. So if we're talking about limiting the amount of time for a COA, it kind of has to be limited or not limited. We can't say, but it doesn't count for paint, but it does count for a
Or
porch.
say
but-
all of them in general, we'll give them 12 months and if nothing is done.
Ms.
I
Webb,
mean, it expires and they would have to come back before us.
If that's the pleasure of the board, I'll need a motion and I'll come back at your next meeting with a draft ordinance for your review.
All right,
Can we add to this ordinance,
No,
like a little section at the end?
it's totally unrelated.
Ms. West writes great ordinances. Let her go.
Let's put it in one there.
All right,
Be
ladies,
selective as to choose because.
you know
I
what? Let's,
I'm
let,
sorry.
let's everybody into the
I
microphone.
want to say that I feel like just because you get a certificate of appropriateness,
Mhm.
doesn't mean you necessarily have to do the work in a certain amount of time. And it should be appropriate for whatever amount of time, unless you have a building permit, which is a year here, I guess.
6 months a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
So I'm not sure that that's.
Well, I mean,
Well,
our
it comes
purview to
back
say-
to,
and it's
is it
purview
going to
say that
be,
Now it's not appropriate.
Yeah. Is what the COA was granted for going to be less appropriate in a year?
Mhm.
Probably not. Not if we're doing our job. But you are my board. Where would you like to go, ladies?
I wanted to make the comment that I think that there's a lot of there's going to be some ordinances that I'm interested in the future. And I think that we could be really selective as to what we decide for ordinances, because I know Jane doesn't want to spend all her time doing
Oh, I love it.
our, like the color palette is strong and certain
Yeah.
things are like really important. And so
What-
maybe we could consider some of that.
what if they were expiration dates put on ones that are non-permitted? Because permits are gonna have expiration dates. They have to meet those criteria. They have to meet those inspections at a certain time. So if we had ones that were non-constructional, have, put a 6-month expiration date on it. And if they don't do it, then it's expired and they have to come back before us if they want to do something else. It's just not a, here you go, take 10 years.
The only other thing you have to consider is a fee for this, $350 every time they come before us.
Then that may encourage them to get it done.
That's expensive.
But does that mean that
Yeah.
our original decision wasn't right?
It,
I'm inclined to agree with Megan, because I believe that we should face the fact that a lot of people who come here don't have a whole lot of money to maintain these houses, and it's very expensive. I would,
Yes,
you know, I
historical
would
homes are.
rather see if someone comes and they intend to work on a house, rather than the situation that I have across from my house. With people that own the house who don't take care of the house, and it's falling down in ruin, 2 of them.
all right, well, let's
So-
not get super specific about that. I mean,
I think we need to have consideration for people who want to be here, but they don't have unlimited funds.
well, and I could, but I won't get up on my soapbox and say, don't buy a historic home unless you have tons of discretionary income and then some, because there's nothing cheap about it. However, I don't see that we're really moving forward with the motion here today, ladies. Am I wrong? If so, please correct me. All right,
I just would like to say, I think we need to think about it and talk about it a little bit more, because I'm not really clear on all of it right now.
certainly. Let's all do that. And what do you say we meet back in February?
Okay.
All right, in the interim, a motion to adjourn?
Before,
We have staff.
I'm sorry,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Staff comments.
Yeah.
I thought we did that.
volunteers. I want to introduce Nicole All. She's the new CRA manager for the coordinator for the city.
Hi, Nicole. Welcome to Palatka or?
Okay,
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the historical board.
yeah, and welcome to the city.
You guys need, feel free to reach out. I brought cards so before they don't hang.
Are you in the same office as over? Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
All right,
All
welcome.
right, welcome.
I would like to make a comment that I hope all of you have noticed the Phase 1 streetscape on Oak and Laurel, with the planting of 107 Dahoon hollies and live oaks, depending on whether or not it's under a utility line. A big thanks to Patty for continuing to stay focused on this particular issue. And also to any members of the public that may be speaking out there, Public Works is watering on a twice weekly schedule on Tuesdays and Fridays. However, Public Works ground maintenance crew is severely limited resource-wise. So to any member of the public that has any frontage with these newly planted trees, if you could help us out, we don't want a bunch of dead trees. Please water if you can. This is a community effort to beautify our South Historic District, and it would be a huge loss if they started dying. We're trying our best, but we are really limited on resources.
I've noticed them. They're very pretty.
I wanted to say one thing. We are watering anyway ourselves. My husband is with his little golf cart. And
I like how she said we and then went to he.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I told him, I told him to do it.
Royal we.
I told him to do it. But one other thing, just an observation, I did see them out there watering, but I see them watering the leaves and not in the hole as much.
I'll
So
talk to
I,
Public
yeah,
Works.
I was gonna say something to you about that.
And I will no longer be managing that particular project. That is going to be. No.
Okay, they need to water in the hole. Thank you. We want them to live.
All right, ladies, anything else? If not, let's try a motion to adjourn again.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.